thanks for making it out this morning. It was rough getting here, I'm sure. So you're the hardy bunch who stuck it out, and so thanks for being committed. So we actually have a really great presentation this morning from Wendy Passmore. She's the artistic director at, the executive director of WP Puppet Theater Society, which has been a charity, a non-for-profit charity since 1991. And she has been touring locally and internationally, doing puppet shows and workshops, teaching around the world. She has great stories about the places she has been. She's literally been giving learning experiences and international puppet performances to families and children in as far away as South Korea, Chuncheon, I presume that's China, is that right? Or is that Korea? That's Korea. Old Crow, Northern Canada. She's been all over the place. And so, and she does that with fantastic characters that she hand builds herself to tell really great and meaningful stories. So I had the great opportunity to work with Wendy during COVID, and when I was kind of sitting there staring at the wall wondering what I was going to do with my life because everything shut down, and along came Wendy and said, I have this great project that we should work on together. So she's going to tell you more about that, and I'm pretty excited having worked with her on it and realized the immense effort required to put on one of these shows. So here she is, Wendy.
Hi, thank you. You all have a takeaway sticker that you can take home as a souvenir. And thanks, Gil. By the way, I put the stud finder in the back of your car. Like, we're neighbors, and so, you know, there's a real quid pro quo thing happening between Gil and his family and my husband, who has a workshop, which is a very big asset in a puppeteer's partner. Didn't marry him for the drill press and the table saw, but man, is it ever convenient. So I'm a little sleepy this morning because last night I was at Kid Koala's Storyville mosquito show, and it's just amazing. There's one more night, so go and get your tickets and go to it. It's down at the Taylor Performing Arts Center, and it just reminded me as to why I do what I do. Because and Gil, you should have been there. Like, the entire stage is full of a movie set, basically. There's 7 puppeteers, there's 7 cameramen, cameras on that track that goes back and forth. And as they perform the show, they just move around the set, and they take the movie photographs, and then they project it all up on the big screen. And then there's a string orchestra trio, and then there's Kid Koala, who's really a feature of himself as far as doing his work with, what do you call it when you skip the records? Scratch DJ, yes, yeah. So really cool. And it, as I said, it made me so proud to be part of this industry, because I could recognize little bits of what he did from what we did in Baxter and Bird. Like, I recognize the cameras, and I recognize the different scale of puppets from close-ups to far away shots and that. And I went, oh, this is my family. So that was really great. Go get your tickets. So generally, when I work, let's go forwards. Yes. Generally, when I work, I follow the path of least resistance. I figure that if it's meant to happen, it just kind of unfolds. And if it gets too difficult, then perhaps I change plans. But for today, we're going to talk about a project that really did have a bunch of challenges in it and required immense effort. Things go wrong. They got redesigned. Seems to take too much time, too much money, too much everything. You change ideas on the fly. You bring angst and self-doubt. and a false sense of success, which then circles right back to the top again where things go wrong, get redesigned, take too much money. But eventually, the investment brings amazing results. And I am very proud of what our whole bunch of people, our team did to achieve the Baxter and Bird project. And as the RISE theme said, inspirationally, every creative act is a transformation, and every project, every new project is a rebirth, and we rise from everything that came before, which is, that's pretty insightful. So we're going to go a little bit of a welcome behind the scenes. I love this quote from Confucius: "Our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall." And this is certainly the mantra of Mouse, which he shares with his best friend Bird, both literally and metaphorically. And today we're going to share some of some cinematographer and post-production work. He's going to bring up his computer and show you the software and everything that goes with his challenges and his rises and falls in this project. And I'm going to take you a little bit behind the scenes and show you some of Baxter's amazing contraptions. This is a catapult. It's a bit of kit bashing from a Leonardo da Vinci thing that they sell for kids. So we took it apart, we redid it, and we made it into this amazing catapult, which you'll see little bits of later. We'll show you some clips from the film, and which show you the characters and the music and the videography, and I'll tell you about the goal for this thing going forward and rising up to commercial and critical success, which is what we're going for. So this is a little trailer that we have on the show to give you a overview. Like, this show, by the way, is called Baxter and Bird, and it's a puppet film about friendship that we produced.
I'm Baxter. Of course it is.
Get it!
So did you get it? It's a 45-minute film, and that's its little trailer there about the two characters and how they work together. Okay, so why bother doing it in the first place? Why try to rise? What was my motivation in getting this done besides some skills, boredom, and COVID? First of all, as an artist, as you probably know from your own creativity, you have to just keep going. You have to keep that creative energy going. You have to be excited to experiment, try new things, meet new people, try new aesthetics. So that was one great big huge reason. Another was that I really believe in the story, the value of finding your own voice, building a legacy, and following your dream. The whole show was inspired by Gandhi's quote that to find yourself, you must lose yourself helping someone else. So that's kind of how we themed the whole show. And then WP Puppet Theater Society, my not-for-profit charity that started in 1991, our organizational strategic direction is moving to offering programs online. So we want to expand our audience reach and reach them without any financial, geographic, social, or functional barriers. This is a little bit of grant talk here. Reduce our environmental footprint by offering things online, and provide high quality digital alternatives for young audiences that isn't motivated by sales or propaganda, which is like what's all over our online stuff for children a lot of times. So effort, lots and lots of effort to aim higher, think larger, and dream bigger. And some of these questions came up, of course. What noise does a cupcake make when it squelches? That's very critical. What is our puppet world? Is this the best we can do? Because the thing is, this was a really unique and innovative project. I mean, everyone says that, right? But it really was. There was no precedence for this kind of puppetry movie being made. It wasn't live action with people actors. It wasn't a wide shot of a puppet show on stage. It wasn't Fraggle Rock, it wasn't the Muppets, and it wasn't a commercial video. So there's really no sort of guidelines on how this was supposed to go. Like, when you want to have a sky, is it a photograph of a sky, or is it a drawing of a sky? Is it a painting of a sky? I mean, you might think that's a really simple question. Oh, we need a sky. But no, it all kind of comes around. And when do we choose to use the great effect filters that are in our repertoire of things to do? So when do we do that? Do we worry about the scale? Do we worry about the relevant sizes? Do we show our hands? Do we not? Do we show the puppet sticks? Gil might talk about that problem. And so we ended up with a mashup of integrating visual art from a number of different artists with different styles and video techniques and different puppet styles. And here's an experiment, or an example rather, of one of the experiments we did with one of the genres, which was, I call it lazy stop motion. And so this is a little clip of a video of the firefly in a glass jar, which Gil had to make sure didn't glare. And there's actually LED lights in the firefly's bum, so we needed those to show. And it's lazy stop motion. So this is this little film.
Hello, my name is Bird. I see you're stuck, just like me. And you're silent, just like me. Well, I'm not silent. I have lots of words, but no song. I don't feel like a real bird. I open my beak to sing and la 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 la. I could sing your story if I ever sing again. Are you sad just like me? Sad firefly, frazzled in a jar, a fallen star? But I'm giving up. And I've got to go. The edge of nowhere is waiting for me.
It's one of the more poignant parts of the show, sorry. Yeah. So that was one of the mix-up genre mashups that we did. Okay, so what's the process to putting something like this together? And I'm not saying I have the best process, but what I find when I work with kids is really funny is they think as soon as I get under the spotlight, I'm going to know everything. Like it's just this magic spot. You're in the spotlight and the show happens. Doesn't. There's a ton of work. So here's my flight path on it. So first of all, you get the idea. And like, where do ideas come from? The kids ask. And then I say, well, sometimes it rains ideas and you walk along with your head like this and it falls in your head. That's not it either. But you know, you get the idea. That's the first step. And then I wrote the script and I got people to review it. And then I built the puppets and the set. And then I tested some of the ideas and I changed my mind and I rehearsed it live. That was the first bit of things. And then I knew it was going to be a video. So then I tested and recorded all the voices to live timings because you got to figure out like how long does it take the puppet to cross the stage and do certain action and stuff like that. And then change that up, make it match with the music. And I shot an entire, by myself, I shot an entire test video to see how that would work and got feedback on that. And then the next thing was I had my neighbor things improved after that. That was great. So we re-recorded all the voices with another actor as well, and we shot it in my basement with the rear screen projection and the green screen. Created all the still photos and sequence panels, and did the post-production editing. Just did it one button. That took, I don't know, a year or more, and realigned all the sound with the action. So kind of the flight path there to give a little bit of an idea of the amount of work that goes into this kind of thing. So the puppets are a little bit crazy for this kind of a project because the green screen involves you in all kind of lighting challenges. You have to light the puppets, and then you have to, and Gil will talk more about this whole process. But usually in puppet productions, you're using mouth-moving puppets above your head. And so you don't have to worry about trying to not have the actors show it all. But these are little tabletop puppets. And so they just work like this, and I'm just standing right there behind them. But that wasn't part of the aesthetic that we wanted for the film or the video. So we needed to get rid of the actors. And these guys just do not work by themselves. They always need someone following them around. So that was a challenge. And this next little bit will show you how we ended up with. It's just a little clip of the two puppets working together. And establishing their characters. I'm on one puppet, Lana's on another puppet, and learning how to do a left-hand operation. And Gil is getting a sense of what he's getting into here.
Feathers? Feathers? A bird? Excuse me, why are you rolling around on the cobblestones?
Oh, what?
Raisins, are you all right? You're losing a lot of feathers.
The clock suddenly started tick-tocking and bing-bonging, and I was surprised. Ouch!
Yes, Baxter, me, got it working again. What's your name?
Bird.
A bird named Bird. That's logical.
Why would you do that, Baxter?
Do what?
Fix the clock. It was fine as it was.
There is an order to the universe. The sun rises, the clouds swirl, and clocks tick-tock. Except this old one wasn't.
That's very poetic. The clouds swirl in their wispy way. I could sing about you.
Well, you don't need to, really. It's all in a day's work.
I'm a bird. I sing about what I've seen and heard. Stuff. You know, stories.
So, this is, this is a picture of us in our green screen onesies, which are really not very flattering. And you can't see, if you're wearing glasses, you can't really see, without them. And so Lana's got her glasses on right there. You can't breathe, especially when you're wearing a mask, because it's during COVID, you're wearing a mask underneath your onesies. Green screen doesn't like fuzzy or soft edges, so, hence the show about a bird with feathers. Baxter had to get his hair gelled, so it didn't fuzz out the green screen. You need a lot of green material hung all the way around my basement. The onesies don't fit. You cut the feet out and you add fabric at the bottom, and the neck shows and you add that around, and it's like, so lots of challenges there, but we did it. The basement looked a little bit like a forest of tripods and stuff everywhere. But that was fine. That was the fun part, holding up your arms, contorting your body, hiding. Take 7. Those are all the challenges in doing this. And Lana said she's never been catapulted with a cupcake. That was a lot of fun. So That's what the cupcake catapulter is all about. Speaking of cupcakes, you might, I don't know if you're going to talk about this or not, but notice all the little green specks on the cupcake? Yeah, you're guessing what happens, Stacey? Yeah, well, they all turn black when you green screened them. So you had a challenge there. That just was funny. You know, I mean, we in hindsight, we could have gone back and taken all the green parts off, but instead we decided to do something different. And then there's a postscript on cupcakes. I mean, for a long time, I was catapulting eggs because I thought it was really funny, eggs splashing all over the place. And then it took Lana to point out that that was a huge faux pas for Mouse to catapult eggs when his friend was Bird. So we switched to cupcakes. I mean, just a funny little thing, but still. So introducing graphics into the video, it's not really that revolutionary an idea like a lot of productions are doing it, but it did present some sort of challenges, some conceptual challenges, like how to align the various aesthetic approaches. We had one artist, Rachel Curtis, who did all the city graphics and Baxter's plans. Crystal Reynolds did all the marketing graphics, which were used in the production as well. There was whale imagery and bird flying with Baxter. That was done on an iPad with Procreate and a digital pencil. Natasha, yay, Natasha, did the charming little bird and mouse flying there. And Nathan Miller did he does comic books. He did the whale scene imagery and pictures for the episodes. And we're going to show you just a little clip now about how we used Nathan's imagery, which was done on Procreate. The whale character needed a great big voice. And so we got Cedric Larry from Heebie Jeebies, he was brilliant, to do the voice. He said, never before or since have I had the pleasure of playing a whale. His very low voice. And we thought that we needed something different though. Besides Cedric's very low and very slow big voice, we thought the kids might be getting a bit tired at this point in the show. So how do you provide a change to kind of change it up? And we ended up with this notion of how to do that.
Yo ho, and up she rises. Yo ho, and up she rises. Yo ho, down mouse drowns. She's early in the evening. SOS, SOS.
What is this tiny voice?
Oh, good. A whale.
That is yelling so loudly I can't hear my own whale song.
I'm Baxter, a mouse. Just taking a break from trying to fly.
A flying mouse? That's quite unusual. Almost as odd as an umbrella boat.
Yeah, I'm trying to break the bond of mouse, you know, be unique. But I've had a bit of a setback. The salt water is stinging my eyes.
I sing of the saline brine, the barnacle, the black depths of the deepest oceans.
Blow me over. That's a big song. I nearly capsized. I should tell Bird about you.
Baxter,
Bird.
there you are.
So just a couple more slides where I want to talk a little bit about the trial and error things that happened, and where you sort of fall down and get yourself back up again. When the show was going to be live at one point, we wanted to figure out how to get the bird to fly around in the sky. And so Tam, my husband, Passmore-Godfrey, invented a bird flying contraption, and it's just too big to bring in here. But it automatically flew the bird around the sky. It had a low RPM surplus motor to make it circle around, and the bird was suspended on a fishing rod that kind of made it go like this. So if you watch closely against the alarming background of his garage, you will see the little bird. Of course, we changed all this when we went to video, but it's still kind of a fun video to see. So just watch for the flying bird. That was going to be a fun part of the show when it was going to be live. And when it was going to be live, there was lots of other tricks too, but then when we went to video, we discovered all sorts of other amazing things that we could do. So. And then there was another little idea where we thought we'll just do a little video of things that are around. So this is just a quick little video to show you of an idea that we didn't use. Yes. Trial, error, and experiment. So our next steps, besides taking the entire 45-minute film and trying to distribute it through something like a Heather Henson Handmade Films or any of the other film distributors, and if you have any leads or anything for me, I greatly appreciate it. I never really meant to make a movie to sell, but that's what I've ended up with. Usually I sell puppet shows, but now I have a movie. But the other thing we're doing, which is exciting, is moving it onto a website. So we've got an interactive website where we've got it divided into 7 episodes. We've got puppet making projects that go with each episode, behind the scenes discussion questions, and like that one about when the bird leaves Firefly, like that's a horrible part. Like, why did bird have to do that? Just leave Firefly in the jar, and how do you talk your way through that one? So discussion questions like that for different educators to use, or parents, or non-formal education people. And then other extension ideas like the whole building of mechanisms and machines and that kind of thing. So very much rooted for a classroom teacher or a homeschool person or just a parent who wants to keep their kid busy with something really exciting. So that's coming up. We'll be launching our new website at the end of this month. So, and finally, thank you. There's been many people who have been involved in this program and its ongoing plans. I mean, there's been many people. We still need to rise into being loved and accessed by hundreds of people all over the world. That's our goal. But meanwhile, thank you for this small audience that has listened to my stories and spread the word. Thank you. Show the catapult. Okay. Yes. You know, another thing is that sort of an antiquing greenish color is really nice artistically, but then you get it into a green screen situation and you end up with gray. Just a second here. Well, thank you. So, mouse comes along here. Sound effects.
So when I got together with Wendy during COVID and she invited me to be a part of this project, it's not something that you have any idea what the depth and what's involved is. It's something, you know, it sounds good on paper, and she said, I'd like to make a film of my show. And it's like, as a filmmaker, I think, that sounds fun, great, let's do it, you know, and I didn't have any concept of really what was involved and the incredible challenges that it required. And so when you do something like this, it's really about the journey and the process. and you make a decision to be a part of something that you believe in, and then you just need to figure it out from there. So for somebody who's very analytical, they might make a business plan or map it all out on a spreadsheet or something like that. You can't do that in this kind of project. You literally like, okay, let's do this, and then you commit and you get in, and then you have to figure it out, because once you get in, it's so deep that there's no backing out. And so, Wendy had this concept that she knew we needed to film it on green screen, and I've done some green screen before with people, and I thought, yeah, that I know how to do that, and that'd be fine. But once it got in, we realized just how complicated, how much different that is. And so if you've seen any of some of the movie sets, like maybe Marvel or something like that, where they use a lot of green screen, all of those movies are made with giant rooms, giant studios that are entirely green. And the actors are like 50 to 100 feet away from the screen. And that lets the lights light the screen and lights light the actors separately, so that you can control what the lighting looks like. The green screen has to be completely even and really well lit, so that it keys out, we call it keying, and that cuts out the green, and then you can put whatever you want in the background. And so when we saw that little umbrella scene that Mouse is floating on, we were able to put a painting in that background of an ocean, because we cut out that space. So I'm just going to show you a little bit of what that process looks like. You saw in that little studio shot of Wendy that our space was actually like this small. And so it was nothing like, a Marvel studio or any studio for that matter. We're in a basement, in our houses, and we live in pretty small houses. And so the problem with that is that the puppeteers are attached to the character. So what we're trying to cut out, which is the puppeteers, they're literally attached to the actors. And so it's very hard to cut them out when their hands are literally on the puppet. And so I have to figure out how am I going to cut them out but not cut the puppet out. And so
Your song is the way you express your bird self. I think me flying is my way of expressing my true mouse self.
So there's all kinds of great contraptions that Wendy hasn't shown you this show. This was built by your husband as well?
I think I built this one.
Oh, she built this one. So there's an entire working helicopter in the show for Baxter and Bird, the two characters, and they actually ride on it, and it spins and everything. And so so you can see that, there's all this action right there, right behind it. And it's very hard to light all that green evenly and to cut it out. And so I've kind of gone back and forth between the black and the green to show you what that actually looks like. And so a lot of the times, everything has to move with her hands. And you'll see that her hand is actually moving each character, moving the helicopter is being held up by her hands. And sometimes her hand or her arm actually gets in the way of the characters or blocks, and that creates a problem. So there's all kinds of technical challenges. And when there's a lot of action, we don't really see all of those things. And so, we have to film it and then watch it. And sometimes we even miss it. We get to the editing stage and we realize, oh, your arm went in front of the, and then it just cuts all out. And so we have to reshoot that again. there's just an incredible amount of challenges involved in this whole green screening process. As well, there's like little sound effects throughout. Every time they take a step, they're like making clumping noises.
Are dangerous.
And you don't really think about it when you do a live show. There's just all that natural sound. But those sounds sound terrible on a film. You have to replace each sound with, what we call Foley, which is created sounds to mimic real sounds. So every time they hit something, there's a sound like that. When he gets onto the helicopter, there's a little clumping sound. So all those were individually added in the right places. So that it brings that realism to the show. There was one time I remember Natasha and I were sitting on the floor, like dropping bottles and things and like hitting objects. Does that sound right? No, that's not quite right. And just recording weird little sounds so that it sounds realistic. And so, filming is one thing, the audio is a whole different thing of making sound effects, and making sure their voices kind of match their head movements. Then there was the whole concept of working with lots of different mediums that Wendy talked about. So there is, of course, working with these puppets, and which is a really different thing in itself, because there's a lot of different kinds of puppets, but this kind where they're actually just directly controlled is less common, and when it translates into film, it's really challenging. But not only that, we're mixing in animations, as she showed you. There was still art. There was drawings and paintings that need to be incorporated, as well as animation. And then there was also stop motion, which is a different art form in itself. And so how do you combine all of these different art forms so that it's semi-fluid and it doesn't feel like you're kind of jumping around in different shows? Yeah, some really good challenges right there. As well, there was just a lot of technical things like, she had this funny helmet that had this wire that kind of was flinging around all over the place, and sometimes it just like sort of went in front of the other puppet, and it was like, oh, afterwards, it looked good on camera, but you look at it afterwards, and like that wire needs to be cut out. It's like in front of Mouse's face. And so then I had to like create custom masks, hand-drawn, that are like, let's black that out. It's kind of like photoshopping in video, right? But you have to motion those masks so that it moves with the object. And so it's like animating it like every step of the way so that the mask covers up all the mistakes that we made. So lots of interesting things like that, hours and hours and hours and